Thank you, Tom. Mary Alice?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to take a little different tack on this. I think that what we're seeing here today is it's not just happened overnight. It's been the product of several years. It started with 695, went on with 747. You remember those initiatives. And we have the bad fortune of living in the state with the most regressive tax system in the nation. There is no tax that we have that is based on a person's current ability to pay. Not one tax. I mean, you could say property tax is, but, you know, you buy your house, you retire, your income goes down. It's not based on your current ability to pay. So as a state, we have become, after we took out the, you know, the $30 license tab thing, you know, the MVET, and then we decided to raise property tax only 1%, which in our city brings in the grand total of $130,000. In the meantime, we have a general fund of $124 million, and a great part of that is 60% roughly is for public safety. And then we are slammed, as we were this year, by 6.1% cost of living increase, which is in our contracts. And lest one say, well, why don't you renegotiate the contracts? You need to remember that both fire and police have binding arbitration. And so the cities really aren't for people who think it's, you know, we can slash budgets and it's easy to do. We can just cut wages, or we can do what people in private industry can do. We can't do. And so we're left in kind of a bad spot. And so the structural instability that is our whole tax system in this whole state, because I can tell you it's not just Kirkland, it's not just King County that's struggling. I was over in Mason County last week on a Shorelines Hearing Board matter and listening to the county folk there talking about the number of people they're laying off in that county. And people in other cities are doing the same thing. Because part of the problem statewide, citywide, countywide is we're overly dependent on the sales tax. And the sales tax is the most volatile tax we have. And when times get tough, then we're in a world of hurt. And we have no assurance that things are going to get better in the near future. Who knows? There could be another sort of fiscal crisis that we have absolutely zero control over. And that concerns me, because I know it's been suggested, well, you know, we can use reserves and then we can work on figuring out another answer to this problem. I can tell you that, you know, we're not looking at just a month or two here. Our reserves, a lot of our reserves we can't use. I mean, they are mandated we can't use. And the ones we can use, I think we need to be very careful about, because I don't think things are going to get better very, very soon. There are no good choices here, none at all, as to what we as a city and as a council can do. You know, the business license fee is I mean, this is very difficult. I've read the many letters that folks have sent, and it's very concerning. And I would hope that that we would continue to work, you know, if this passes, and it looks like it will, that we work continuously with the business community to try to see, you know, if somewhere there's a better way to do something. But as for now, it's very difficult to know what that might be. And so I would like to suggest one other thing in kind of reference to what Bob was talking about the budget process. I think we were distracted in the budget process, although we worked very hard on it, and the Finance Committee did even more work on it. I would like to see that at the retreat we set aside a good period of time to debrief or post-mortem the process and the product of our budget. I would hope that we would get an overview of the 2008 year-end results, that we'd recap the process and policy direction provided by this council, that would recap how the budget met the policy direction, maybe an assessment of how well it met each of the policy objectives, a discussion of the individual concerns with the process, with the timing, number of meetings, the content, the involvement of the public, and the product, the perceived sustainability of the budget. Were the support materials adequate? Were the presentations adequate? That we take a look at how we go about the process. And maybe this is where we can really get to some of the concerns that Councilmember Sternoff was talking about. Budgets aren't going to get easier, and we're not going to be able to go to the same well again. And I foresee some very difficult times ahead. And it's been my good fortune to come onto the council at the 2002 downturn. And, I got my second term, and here we are again. And it seems to be, it's going to be that way until we in the state of Washington have the courage to tell our legislators we need to reform our tax structure and give us a stable, dependable method of taxation. And until this happens, we're going to continue to do what we're doing here tonight.
Well, actually, Mary Alice, you're right on target, and it was an interesting thing when we were talking to all the human service people. We had 100 of them in a room, and everybody was saying, well, what's the key things that we need to talk to our legislators about? Is it supporting certain programs, providing more money, da-da-da-da? And we actually came up with probably the most important thing we could tell all of our legislators as a human service sector is, for goodness sakes, do something about the taxation structure in this state, because the human service entity lives in some form of recession all the time. And then when they hit the skids, like right now, we do not literally have food in the food banks. And it's not because people don't want to donate, it's just that we don't have the surplus that we normally have in operating a business. So when a recessionary time hits, we get killed, so the best thing to do is to get off the tax policy that we currently have.
Right.
Clearly, relying on the retail sales and property taxes has failed the state. It's failed cities from border to border. And that's what we're seeing here tonight. And this just isn't aimed to the business community. This is aimed to all the citizens in Kirkland. I spent a good amount of time through the year visiting most every neighborhood association to have precisely this talk, is that it doesn't work, folks, and you can see that it is beginning to fail the city of Kirkland.